Welcome to Unpack Your Life. I'm Jane Bond, your host and identity strategist. This is the show where we go past the surface, past the performance, and into the real work. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, how did I get here? Not because your life fell apart, but because somewhere along the way, you disappeared. I know that feeling oh too well. I spent years building a life that looked successful while quietly losing the person I was underneath it. Until one day, I realized I had a choice. Keep protecting the life I had built or burn down the identity that was keeping me trapped. I chose the fire. That's why I created Unpack Your Life. This isn't a podcast about fixing your life. It's about uncovering the person who's been there all along. I'm Jane Bond, and let's unpack your life. Today, our guest knows what it feels like to face a defining moment when the life they were living could no longer contain the person they were becoming. Let's unpack their life. Today, I'm here with Mr. Gene Banks, a very good friend of mine, and he is from my hometown, Philadelphia. He's an All-American 1977 All-Star, National Writers Association of America voted Gene Co-National Player of the Year, along with Irving Magic Johnson and his high school team, West Philadelphia High Speed Boys. He's also national champs with a record of 30 wins and no losses in his senior year. His high school, which is my alma mater, West Philadelphia High, again honored Mr. Banks in retiring his number 20 uniform. Duke University, after that, was in his sights. While at Duke, he led them to a 2 ACC championship, NBA championship, and along the way, he went on to play for the San Antonio Spurs, later traded to the Chicago Bulls, joined up with the great Michael Jordan. Gene also played and coached overseas for over 8 years in countries such as France, Italy, Israel, Peru, Greece, Belgium, and Argentina. Gene, welcome to Unpack Your Life. And that is a hell of a bio. I murdered that. I'm going to let you go over and do that again.
Well, you did great. And what people don't know, I know you've done several interviews with people of great stature, doctors and lawyers, but what they don't understand and know that you and I walked the same hallways at West Philadelphia.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
During that time when we were growing up, our community really looked out for each other. It took a village, even though there were some crime situations, there's some gangs, but there was a great love during that time.
Yes.
Great moments. And it's hard to say, do I forget that? But it nurtured and builded us to go on and like you're traveling all over the world and I'm traveling all over the world. It's amazing to be able to have that and take that with us.
And also, our community, as far as education was concerned, at West Philadelphia High, I know you mentioned some people in some of the questions that I had asked you. Let's just walk through it. In question number 1, I had asked you, who did you become to survive? And I noticed you named the people that helped build you. And I thought that was amazing. You named your mother, of course. You named Dr. Deadwaller, which I definitely remember Dr. Deadwaller walking to school. You named Sunny Hill and your community. That is powerful. That is a very powerful answer because, a lot of people don't usually do that when it comes to identity, naming the people who shaped them instead of describing yourself. Do you feel that identity begins with who we are or who we believe in us or who believes in us?
I think a lot of identity comes from how you were raised. A lot of things, the people around you. I mean, there was a lady named Miss Jackson lived next door to me. And back in those days, we had the Acme supermarket. And
oh, yes.
My mom, my mom did what she did, and my dad would do whatever the case would be. But we had those sneakers where you would put cardboard in if there was a hole in them, that kind of things. But she
Yes.
she just grabbed us and took us to the Acme store. Nothing against my mom and my dad, whether they have money or not. She said, I'm going to get you some shoes. And just her being a neighbor to buy me some shoes, them shoes were in the little rack, So,
Yeah.
and that spoke love right there.
Well, that's community too. Like you said, it takes a village.
Yeah, and then when it comes to Dr. Detweiler, as you well know, he was a staunch person on
Oh,
education. He would call out in the hallways.
oh, definitely. Miss Bond, get to your class.
And
Absolutely. I remember
I
him.
hit around corners, those were teachers. He and Barbara, Miss Barbara, she taught Spanish. Uh,
Yes.
they stayed in your behind,
Mm,
and and you needed that, and you didn't understand it. You just thought they were being hard, but it really molded me to understand about authority, respect. Those are the things that were so important, and then Sunny Hill comes into it as well as being in the league and knowing the things that we have to do, respecting community. Uh,
absolutely.
those people really, really helped me get to that level where I reached.
And I do remember Brother Skeef.
Yes.
He was a very big presence in my life. He was a Black history teacher, and he used to walk around with his dashikis on
Yes.
and talk to us and tell us about everything that we thought we might have known, but things we never even dreamt of reading about, and
He gave
educated us well.
he gave us the touch of our inner self as well as our African heritage and who
Yes,
we were. And he was able to expose where the other teachers, they may have felt that way, but they didn't speak it out. Um,
right,
it's like the thing with Malcolm X. Malcolm X was at a time where he spoke out. A lot of black folks wanted to say that, but they were afraid to say that, and they were really scared. But
absolutely.
Brother Keith, he did it in his own way, but also he gave us some like, okay, he got the daishiki on. He's giving us
Yeah.
history about Africa. Man, and you stop and you go, wow, okay. Hmm,
He made us understand where we came from,
yes.
and how we came about, along with the inherited traits. And that's what we talk about here on Unpack Your Life and identity. And I think, those people definitely shaped us as we were coming along.
For
I mean, it
sure.
was a different story when I got in college. That was a whole nother
Yes.
level of education. But from high school, those things stuck with me and I carried them and I still carry them with me. And that's why we're still talking about those teachers that were great mentors
Right.
also.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful times. And we came from a wonderful school too.
We
Our
did.
school was
We
well
did.
known.
I mean, people, they don't talk much about it. Every
No.
time they do it, we have the West Fest when everybody gets together, different classes, and now West Philadelphia High School now is changed. The old school now is a condominium
Mm-hmm.
apartment B&B. And
Right.
they build another place which is smaller, more modern tech, and those young people have no connection to what we would experience and dealt with. Because I mean, we had so many programs. You got to remember,
Absolutely.
we had home economics.
That's right.
We had a situation where they were fixing furniture there.
They were teaching us how to bake.
Yes,
Carpentry.
you remember what was that? What bank was that you got your passport bank
Oh,
book?
wait. PSFS.
PSFS. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And they were teaching us all of that stuff, and we didn't. I mean, we were young. We just doing what we were told to do. But
Right.
uh, what's so amazing about it is that they
It
took
stuck
all,
with us.
yes, but they took all that away now.
Yes, they did. I mean, because, right now when you think about people talking, especially when you're on social media, you're hearing a lot of people talk about generational wealth, and those conversations weren't had in our homes. But for us, they were had in our high schools. They
Yes,
taught us about economics. They taught us about carpentry. They taught us about trade and
yes,
how it would impact our lives as we got older. They taught us about foreign languages. I remember being in elementary school, and I believe it was Juan Carlos. He was my Spanish teacher, and I'll never forget him saying to me, "One day, Miss Bond, you're going to need this Spanish." And boy, was he right. And then fast forward, trying to learn it, what a learning curve that is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
these teachers, they were an extension of our parents at that time,
yes,
which when we talk about identity And I share with people, when you walk into rooms, you are standing on a lot of shoulders going into that room. And you need to bring that ancestry with you, and a lot of people don't. They forget. And like as you said, they're not teaching that today in
No, and, and,
schools.
and they didn't play. They
No.
demanded they demanded they demanded excellence from you, and
Yes, they did.
they punished you if you didn't come to that
That's
because
right.
this was something you needed to have when you went. I mean, if it wasn't for the teachers, I get emotional. Um, when I went to Duke University is one of the top academic institutions ever. To go to Duke
Absolutely.
University, and I carried everything from Mr. Debweiler to Bernie Ivins to Brother Skeef to Mrs. Williams and Coach Goldenberg. I took that with me, and I had that ammunition. I
That's
had.
right. That armor.
If
That
I didn't,
armor.
I didn't have that, I wouldn't have last.
Yeah, because like you said, these were great teachers, mentors that made us understand the impact that they were giving us at that
Yeah,
time. They were
yeah.
putting on our lives, and we needed to take that, to the next level, whether you went to college or not, whether you were in the streets or not. That's where carpentry, home economics came into play, because maybe you didn't have the opportunity to go to school after that, to go to the next level of education. But if you did, just imagine, between yourself and myself and so many other people I do know that did take the next step to higher education, were able to take that with them when they walk through those doors. That's a pride. That's a pride. That's a pride to know that you can walk in a room and you have these people behind you. It's not just you standing there, it's all the people that got you there. And
And,
that's what I think is missing today.
oh, for sure. Greatest piece ever. And I want people that either see this and your other viewers and so forth. And I think you got some amazing black and white folks that have come on and that have done some great things. But I started having some issues at Duke with my academics, and
Oh,
I was smelling myself.
okay. Yeah, you came from, look where you came from.
I was smelling myself. We were champions and all this stuff out of my freshman year. And Mr. Debweiler grabbed my mother and drove 7.5 hours from,
No way.
and they knocked on my door. No warning whatsoever. Knocked on my door. He walked in
Wow.
with my mother and he slapped me. He
No, he did not.
He slapped me. He says, "What is this I'm hearing?" Because I had a dean called Dean Nathan. She was amazing. I love her to this very day. Uh, and she called him, and they drove down, walked to my apartment, slapped me. He's giving me this, "You're just gonna walk around like some aimless, no good, da 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 da, blah blah blah." He's berating me and jumping at me for 20 minutes. My mom stood right there.
Wow. Reining you right in.
Then he turned around and said, "All right, Barbara, ready to go?" And my mom said nothing. She just looked. She said, "Okay." They turned around, walked out the door. I'm watching them go down the steps, and I'm looking at my mom like, usually mom comes, she's bringing food, and
Care package.
I'm looking at mom, and mom looked back and she just took her finger and did like that, and they left. They
Wow.
drove 7.5 hours,
And that is Mr. Detweiler.
and then they went right back home.
And he was such a big man, He stood there. You couldn't, his presence was very commanding, I remember that. He would look at you. All
Yes,
he would do is look at you, and you
yep,
knew.
yep.
You knew you had to get it together.
Jan, they left. And when they left, I sat in my sofa and I sat there and I cried. And I cried because I realized the responsibility I had of representing my family,
That's right.
of coming to the school and not being a fool and messing up. And
Absolutely.
that's when I got my act together.
Wow.
That was
And, having someone like that that's watching you outside of, being where you were at a point where he was teaching you and mentoring you. And then to take the time to come to your school with your mother.
yes.
And not only come to your school, slap you in the face to get you together. I
I'm,
can't
I'm
imagine.
on the cover
But
every
that is Mr. Detweiler.
well. I was on the cover of every magazine. I'm on TV. All
That's
the time.
right. I
I was missing
remember.
classes. My dean called him and told him, and he came there, and they didn't even stay.
Wow.
They turned around and went right back home.
That's a story for the audience to hear because I have never heard that story and I've known you for what, 30 years almost? Oh my God. For Mr. Deadwell to slap you, you
He
need to tell
slapped
that story in the auditorium when you go
me. I
back
told
to
you,
West.
he slapped me.
Oh wow,
My
that is
mom
an
was right
amazing
there next to
story.
him and didn't do anything. She just looked at him because she knew the male prop, the not just
Yeah.
giving, but the male presence of being able to speak like he spoke. That was
Yes.
powerful.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was something else. He was definitely a man of stature, man of his he reminded me of a Earl, Earl Jones.
Yep.
His voice, he was just so commanding, like his presence was so strong. Like you knew he was more than a father figure there for you. He wanted you to understand what you had ahead of you, and it
Yep.
was not going to be easy. And I think that was, very powerful for him to get in the car and come to see you and share with you.
Oh my
Do
God.
not screw this up. Everyone's watching you. Do not screw it up. And you got it together. So that's something to be said.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Gene,
amazing.
let me ask you this. If no one was watching, what would you do? What would you be doing if no one was watching you?
Mm, that's interesting. Because one thing about my nature and my MO is I've always been called a giver, and I've always had a compassion for not just my community but my family and people. So
Hmm.
somewhere along the line, I probably would be doing something, maybe politics, because I had some strong influences with Novella Williams and Hardy Williams.
Oh, I remember the Williams. Yes, Hardy Williams and
Hardy
Novella.
Williams.
Yes, absolutely.
And she lived. Novella Williams was like our Martin Luther King in West Philadelphia,
Yes, yeah, politicians, absolutely.
and she was, and I had those examples around me. So I probably would have taken up that mantle, and probably would have been in Philadelphia doing that type of thing. So that was one of the things. But I always love the simpler things. I like
Okay.
with myself. I go in my room. I collect the comic books. I love to read, so I read comic books. My mom brought me a stereo. That's when I got into starting liking Barry White because of the orchestra and the music. And
Absolutely. Who
yeah,
didn't?
yeah, and I almost like being with myself when I like being with everybody else. I had my moments where I had my dreams and my thoughts and in my own world. But when I came out of that room, it was always about respecting what mom and dad said. It was all about respecting all the people, the community leaders, and the recreation coaches. It was always about respecting authority. So I would have done the same, probably the same thing of giving back to the community in some capacity. Wouldn't say politics, maybe, but it would have been
Okay.
more something of working, making sure the community was strong. And I still do that today.
That's intriguing. Who would Gene Banks be if there wasn't a crowd, a scoreboard, or an expectation?
Hmm.
What would have been your fantasy besides that?
A lot of my fantasies have come true. You know,
Okay.
and
That's fair.
by your travels and all the exposure and the things that you've done, which have been amazing. When you travel overseas, you see so much.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes, you do.
God. I,
Yes,
I,
you do.
I would love that every African American kid, or I'll just say, I always say black kid got a chance to expose or go and see another culture, and feel that.
That's education within itself.
It's major.
Hmm.
And because I enjoyed when I lived in Montpellier, southern France for a while, and just to go down to the beach and sit there. And I'm not a beach person, but just to have that moment. And I remember when I was in Israel, and I was in Israel for 3 or 4 years, and I would drive up to Capernaum where Jesus studied, and the Dead Sea and all that by myself, and just sit, and I was at peace. So I'm not alone. I love attention, especially with the attention that I got because of who I was.
Absolutely.
But I also love the peace and quietness of my own peace to myself. So that I would have been, I wouldn't say be a hermit because I know how to deal with people and come out of it. But I can be happy with myself a lot of times if I got to
I
get.
love that.
Yep.
I love that because the internal is what does set people apart. That's where you find your peace.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of, in the quiet of your thoughts, you kind of settle in and find your peace. Most people do. A lot
Yes.
of people cannot be by themselves. They don't know what that is to go in, to go in. I call it, I say go in. Sometimes you just need to go sit down and go in. And a lot of people can't do that
No.
because they're so busy being out looking for social validation, trying to they're chasing things that are not even theirs to chase.
Hmm.
They're looking at things saying, I want to be that, or I don't, without knowing who they are
Yeah.
before they even start. And that's important. And most of the time when you go in, that's when you figure that out. You go in and you look at that, or you listen to that internal piece, that side of you. I call it the four internal empires. A lot of people talk about mindset. I always ask them, what about, your spirit set? What about your heart set? What about your emotions? What about your health set? Because without the health set, there's no set. But
True.
that spirituality, the soul set, that's
Mhm.
amazing. We always need the mindset. That's the cognitive part. I don't know about, with AI, we don't know what's going on with that. That's another conversation. But that mindset, that cognitive part of it is the part that keeps us charged up, of course, but we definitely need the other, empires, which is your soul set, your health set, and your heart set, because
Mhm.
those are the things that keep us all together.
For sure.
And a lot of people pass that. And when you talk about peace and being quiet, that's that inner spirit that you have to listen to sometimes.
For sure. For sure. And when you talk about that spirituality, I mean, at one time, my mom had a church in the basement, and
Oh.
when we talked about the church, we were trying to put money together for a church fund. We were actually really trying to put our penny together to get out of the basement, So,
Right.
and my mom, I had two pastors, Pastor Palmer and Pastor Phillips, and that thing with them because I moved back from my dad back to my mom's house,
Hmm.
and coming into it, and when we were driving up, we heard this music like it was a concert. We get up to the house, and the house seemed like it was bouncing and moving. And
Okay.
dad, because dad, dad believed we weren't going to church when I was living with him for a while. And I was looking at dad like, Dad, and he says, go on in there. My mom opens the door. She hugs me. She puts my bag and says, come on downstairs. So I'm going, okay. I go downstairs when I'm the first time coming back. And there's
There's
pews,
church going on.
there's pews, there's everything down there. My sisters are
Oh my
all there.
God.
And I was like, holy, but it was the central part of my spirituality of that.
Right.
And they
Well,
taught.
folks are going to get it together, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. And there were rules and regulations, but it wasn't so intense. But and it was cousins and a family, and it was nice. But that built me too, where it was almost I had to learn about not so much about God, but about the spirituality of it all. And
Hmm.
it was Him that pulled me through my destiny because I listened. Because if it wasn't for God's voice, whatever, I would have never went to do. It would never happen.
Wow.
His
Wow.
his man, because Duke, they were terrible. I mean, I knew nothing about Duke University, and we were up, where we were West Philly. We didn't worry about the South, what was happening, like what we saw on the news.
No,
We had
absolutely not.
stuff around our own neighborhood we had to deal with. So I had nothing to deal with Duke, and they had no good basketball program, but it was God's voice to me to go through there, and I listened, and God knows what happened. It was amazing,
You set them on fire. Actually, you put them on the map. Okay.
incredible.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing because, that's a part of your spirit too that went there, when he spoke with you.
But
And
I
that's a
took that,
testament.
but like
That's a
we were talking
testament.
about, everything that was brought into me, Mr.
Hmm.
Detweiler, Novella Williams, my mom, the people around the community, Miss Jackson, that all was in me, and I took that with me, and I had my armor to go
That's
down.
the strength.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's a story that a lot of young people need to hear because they don't have that. A lot of young people don't have that today. They go to school and, they make it through there as hard as they can. They just, keep trotting away and doing what they have to do to get through there. That community is so important to have behind you,
It's
because I
amazing.
had the same community. Trust me, my parents were right there. I would be there, and I would get care packages also, because I know if I didn't get one, I would feel like I wasn't a part of what was going on there. My parents would show up when they were supposed to show up. And I've watched a lot of students not have that. And I've watched a lot of students that look like me drop out. So I definitely understand
But
that
your mom,
community.
but your mom and my mom saw those that didn't have needs. They helped them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were that family, and I came from a large family, so we understand what sharing is about.
Hmm.
So I have 5 sisters. So we wore each other's clothes and everything, and that carries with you also your part of giving and sharing with people and being humble in your life no matter
Right.
what you get. And I'll be honest with you, that's a part of this unpacking my life that I had to go through too, with the success and understanding who I really was, and wanted to come back home to that and feel that energy and love from my family also, because I felt like I had gotten away from that, and I had to unpack that part of my life to find myself and
Hmm.
rebuild myself in the way that I am now totally happy with who I am as a person, with my spirituality, my understanding of how you treat people and how you want to be treated, understanding of boundaries, because boundaries, we have to create them, to simultaneously love certain people at the same time with loving yourself.
Yes, you do. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
it's an
I
act.
just want to be clear.
The roads that you and I have traveled, a lot of them almost similar in some ways, but because we were able to, we don't call it escape from the city. We moved on and journeyed, and we
Well,
took
I
what we
think we
had.
had our dreams, like you said. I had large dreams and still have large dreams. That doesn't stop me from dreaming, but I always looked at dreams as goals with deadlines. I didn't look at them as dreams. I thought the bigger the goal, the harder the climb will be. But as
Sure.
long as I keep that, in in sight, I'll be able to make it. And that was my whole journey as far as doing anything, any identity that I took on, because I've had several careers
Hmm.
and I have taken them on, with force, saying, always said to myself, if she can do it, I know I can do
Hmm.
it. I always looked at that.
For sure.
So with that, that's a great segue into my next question. What part of your life, Gene, is performance disguised as responsibility?
Whew. I would say more so than anything else with my children.
Okay.
Um, if people don't know the story with my situation, my wife, we got married. I, I went to Duke, and then after Duke, I got drafted in the pros. And I got married to a lovely woman, and I miss her still, Isabel from
I'm
Greensboro, North Carolina.
sorry.
And the thing was, when she passed away, even though before that, but when she passed away, it was so important that as a father, and I didn't take it as a father, but that I had to be there no matter what. And my mother was angry with me because she said, "Get the kids and bring them up to Philadelphia." Come here, I says, "No,
Right.
Mom, you bring them up to my old room, and you're like Mother Teresa. You got people always coming in. Nah, that's not going to happen." Her mother and father are still somewhat alive, and I wanted them to stay here, be grounded. And I didn't do anything for 2 years, but be mom and dad. It was a very
Well,
difficult time, but to me, I don't call it difficult because we grew up in West Philly. Our parents always adjusted to stuff. They, no
right.
matter what it was, we just did it. We
And they
handled
were always there.
always there. And
Yeah.
that was the biggest key, that I had to be there. My presence was important. I could have went to back to Chicago, San Antonio, got a job, but they'd have been with the grandparents, and I'd have come and see them on the weekend. I didn't want that. I promised my wife pretty much on her deathbed, I was never going to leave them. And I was
Wow.
going to be close to them, no matter what the circumstance. Even though my mother-in-law and my mother were so helpful and helped me, and I didn't work for most of a year. I mean, I was almost. I mean, things were tough, and people didn't even know that because I didn't reach out. and people that your viewers or whoever's going to look, some people stay within themselves and they just don't want to open up to so many people. And
Absolutely.
it wasn't so much a pride thing as this is something I had to do. I don't want to be simply, well, oh, what was me, blah, blah. I just did what I had to do when it came to doing that. And the one thing that was so important to me was that, especially when I had girls, that I had to be around them and be with them constantly uh,
Mhm.
to make sure they had that. And God rewarded me. He rewarded me for that years later, where I wound up getting back in the NBA as an assistant coach. So as they got older and be able to branch out in high school, get ready to go to college, I can be able to do that, expand myself to go to DC. But DC was only 5 hours away, and I can just get in the car and be right there when I needed. So
Absolutely.
just be in obedience to certain things. You get rewards for that, and that was important to me for that.
And commitment. I mean, that was a commitment you gave to your wife also, and to yourself. I mean, that's a part of your legacy also.
Yeah,
I mean, at what point does protecting your legacy prevent you from simplifying your life? So that is huge, you know.
yeah. And they're beautiful. They don't even know how beautiful they are. They just,
Oh,
they just, it's amazing. And they don't jump on the thing that Gene Banks is to star or anything. I'm dad, I'm dad, and
of course, your dad.
they could have gone on. They could have gone on and been like what you call whatever stars or whatever. They're both Bianca's plays music, piano. India's great in business, but the thing about in your environment, you can't stay in your environment too long because it'll suck you in and make you be complacent. And they got very comfortable. Everything was fine, but then when they fought to go out and stretch out, and they travel with me a lot. But that's what happens. If I was Richard Williams or Serena and Venus, I would have pushed them in basketball and in music. If I was that
Okay,
type of, but I said I'm going to let them make their choices to
right.
enjoy life the way it's been without me hammering them and all that. And that's what I did.
You let them be free to
Yes,
choose and become who they want to be or who
yes.
they surmise they are at this point in their life. Because, the only constant thing we have in life is change. And they won't be who they are 5 years from now or even in 5 months from now. So I think that's
Again,
a
here's,
wonderful
here's the
thing.
thing though. Sometimes you doubt yourself when you get alone. And I sit up and say to myself, because my daughter India could have been a really good basketball player. Okay, boom.
Hmm.
And then Bianca could have. She's a great pianist. She could have been if I would have been really hard and pushed her and blah, 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 and I put her in piano. That was I mean, sometimes you listen to God. If you listen to God, things happen. If you
Absolutely.
put her in piano, and now she's a great. She teaches voice. She teaches piano, and she doesn't like to be on stage and all that. She likes to be, laid back. India's the same way. They blah 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 blah. She's great in business. She runs businesses, but she's a manager. She doesn't own her own business. And to get her
Okay.
to do, I said, you everybody everybody just says great things about how you do these things. Why don't you have your own business? And she's like,
Right.
yeah.
She knows better.
Yeah, she says, but sometimes as a father, you sit back and say, you got to take that step to
Right.
go ahead and do that. And then the thing with,
That's the guidance, of course.
yeah, but I just said I didn't want to be that type of person just to beat them over the head and you got to do this. I wanted them to be people, you know.
Yeah. Be who they want to be.
Yeah,
And that's what this is all about, identity, because, everything begins with identity.
yes,
Who you are, what you want out of life, how you get there, and the people that help you. And
hmm
that's where the boundaries come in, of course. And sometimes we have to rethink, you
hmm
know. And a lot of people think, "Oh my God, well what if I fail?" Well, I tell people all the time, listen, failure is nothing but the opportunity to do it all over again and get better. That's
yep,
data that you take in and you learn from, and then you go forward again, if that's what you choose.
right,
But failure walks side by side with success. So I tell people, don't get that part twisted. Strength and weakness, they walk side by side.
yes.
And you have to earn the power to have both of them
The yin and the yang,
simultaneously.
the yin
That's
and the
right.
yang. Yep.
And that's who we are. And that's why we have to, when doubt creeps in, you have to hold on and be strong. And that's where those empires come into place too. Because Failure is the way you interpret it.
Hmm.
If you interpret it to the point that you're going to sit with it, that's something different. That means you're going to get stuck. It's
Yep.
like grief. Grief has 5 stages. We all go through it and we have to work through it. And that's the part people forget, that work throughing things. We have to work through things to get to the next path or the next journey.
Yep.
And that I tell people that all the time, when you understand who you are, you know the power that you have. It's when you're not being yourself 100% and you're trying to portray that you're someone else.
Sure.
It doesn't work.
For sure.
That identity is so important. And today with AI that has come into mix, I'm not sure who's who.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are still looking for social validation, which is unfortunate.
It's sad about AI because now what AI has such a great high def
Oh,
replay,
fantastic. If
but
it's utilized properly.
yes, but it's now they utilize it now to add in lies and deceit and corruption and all kind of stuff, and that's the sad part about it because it can be so powerful and so wonderful, but the powers that be utilize it for what they need to be, and just to keep everybody more distorted and destructed and distracted. So it's and you got to be really deep into looking at it and say, is this the truth? Is this not? I mean, but it's the game that they play
Yeah,
to understand.
absolutely.
That's what it
And
is.
I watched a movie on the flight uh, the other day, and I was blown away. It was called iDoc. It was a documentary on AI, and part of it scared me to death, and part of it made me go, okay, so we're going to normalize this, and a lot of times you have to normalize the truth and understand what it is.
Hmm.
And they were saying, that if we did this right and society stood up and made sure that the government put guardrails up on this thing
Yeah,
properly and companies, create the disclosure that we need, this could be a very powerful, fascinating
so advantageous for
tool that we could utilize because, what if the poorest person in the world could all of a sudden get the best health care in the world because of AI, artificial intelligence?
yep,
What if, the workload? Of course, they're not going to have people that will be able to say, I'm tired, or, I'm going to go on vacation or this, because these robots will be doing everything.
yep,
But you have to be careful with that. And all of that has to be regulated too. And that's where disclosure comes in. And that's where the power of the people come in to
yes,
play. We always must make sure there are guardrails, because not only are we, I think America, I don't know, a lot of people forget about it. It's not only America, it's China, it's Germany, it's France. They're all racing to
yes,
get the best
yes,
of what it is.
yes.
And it could be amazing for us as a world, or it could be destructive for us as a world. And
But we,
that's what I got out of it.
but we see
And
the
I
diagram
was,
right now. We see the diagram of how it's happening.
yeah. And there's not that many people at the top making these decisions. So it's not like a mass number of people making decisions. We're talking a handful of people that have the power.
Yep.
So that's a kind of scary thing in itself
They
too.
and they're not trying to relinquish it one iota.
Well, it's kind of out of most people's hands right now. It's like the cat is out of the bag.
Hmm.
So how do you put a cap on that? It's going to be really difficult. And we could go on all day and talk about
Oh,
that.
for
But
sure.
I'm going to ask you another question here. What success have you built that you feel doesn't actually belong to you?
Ooh, wow. Um, I would say more so with doing things in the community, seeing other people, young people, go forward and do some great
Okay.
things. And just us putting together, like you could put together a seminar and have a group and talk to them, and they can hear your story and you can engage with them, and you get one or two of them go on, carry that with them and do some great things. That's amazing. And I've seen that happen with me. I've had a situation, just having a program and having kids talk around, where there was a young white girl that was here, and she came into the east side of Greensboro,
Hmm.
and she wasn't a really great basketball player, but she came and played with the boys.
Oh, okay.
And this is a great story to the fact that her parents came down. We had games on Wednesdays and Saturdays. It was predominantly a black program because it was for underprivileged in the city. But her parents were every day, came down, and she brought her to practice, played the games. Parents would stay and help clean up. Uh,
Okay.
and the boys respected her, and it was just beautiful. That's which is the way it's supposed to be.
Because she
And
had game.
yeah, she had game, and she was decent. She wasn't all that great. I mean, but it was just the fact that the way the parents engaged and the way she engaged
Right.
the boys, and the boys engaged her, they had respect for her. And some of those
Okay.
kids were hard kids, but the greatest thing of this, and I'm getting to the bottom of this, why I'm saying this, is that she went on. She made the Olympic rowing team,
Oh, okay.
and she won a gold medal.
Wow.
And I can't talk to you because I get emotional with some of this stuff. And in one of her speeches, she said, they asked her, were you from Greensboro? But she said, yeah, and I was in Greensboro, and I had a great, wonderful experience with the Gene Banks League. And when I heard that, I was like, everybody kept calling me, says, she's on national TV talking about, the Gene Banks League, and a couple guys. And that, to me, she said, me being there and engaging and showed me about love and the whole 9 yards and this, and that to me stamped what I was doing for the community. When you have
Wow.
that type of situation, she spoke that in
Gave you
the
validation.
yes,
That's
yes,
wonderful.
yes, yes.
Anybody that goes back and touch the youth, because they're the people that are coming after us, is amazing. It's something, to be that impactful on someone that they get to a height of getting a gold medal in the Olympics
Amazing.
and mention. Yeah, of course
I,
it's amazing.
cried. Just I was
My
like,
head would be this big.
but Jan, the thing is, people did it for us when we came up
That's right.
in our community. I just took what we were raised on, the people did. I just took that and just did the same thing. That's all.
And that's great that you see it, through those lenses, because a lot of people don't look at life in that manner, to look at things through your lens, knowing who you are and who you were back then and doing your thing to the hundredth power is amazing. And then giving it back. I mean, what else are we going to do with it? You got to give it back.
Yep.
You got to give it back to all the young people, and they need us. They
Yes.
really need us, especially when it comes to identity, because a lot of them don't know who they are. And I hear a lot of people say, well, what would you tell your younger self? Well, I bet probably me, I would tell my younger self that it's going to be okay. Don't
Mhm.
worry too much. Because I've always worried a lot. That's one thing I hate, that I worry about things. And that's one thing I would tell my younger self. Don't worry so much, because no matter what, it's all going to work itself out. Nothing's too big to not be worked out.
And Jan, the thing is, everybody's home was different.
Everybody,
You had,
everybody.
you had some people. A lot of us did have two parents during that.
Yes, yes.
But some people didn't have two parents. And and for your viewers to listen to this, as well as we had Westfield free school. Remember free school?
I remember freeze. Oh my God, you're taking me back.
And if a girl had a baby or something, she may not have been in school, but she can go to free school and still
That's
get.
right.
So I remember.
Wow. There was so many things put into place for us at that time. And maybe
Yes.
it was because we were coming out of a time that we didn't have those uh, uh, items in place for us. And moving forward, coming out of the 60s into the 70s, into the 80s, we needed to have certain things in place for us to, go on our journeys and to move forward in our lives. And that's why I said, seeing things through these different lenses, it's amazing, because I don't think people talk about this, or I don't think people think about going back to make those impacts anymore, because life has moved so quickly,
Hmm.
and the respect that we had for our elders and our parents and our aunts and uncles. I mean,
Yes.
what I
Yes.
see today, it's
Oh,
scary.
very
It's really
scary.
scary. And that's why I say identity is so important. It begins with who you are
Yep.
and where you're going in your life and who impacts you.
And in the
Because,
home, and in the home.
yeah, And
Yep.
when you walk through these doors, don't think you walk through them alone. You're standing on so many giants' shoulders before your parents, before your grandparents.
Yes.
But most of the people, they walk in here and they forget that. They walk through these doors and they forget, no, success is never, ever built on
But,
its own.
and we, I always tell white folk, and I don't believe in calling people white folk, black folk. You're people, human beings.
Mhm.
But I always say that, I said, y'all don't understand that black folks, we have our own issues with each other.
Absolutely. 100%. Just like they have their issues.
I said, we have issues with ourselves, and we have
Yeah.
our battles and so forth. So to add more logs on the fire, which is what it's been through decades and
Mm.
centuries, but we have, and allow us to preach to what do you call, to handle ourselves and give
That's
us,
the precursor, of
that's,
course.
and we'll be able to handle those things. But now they we've been, I don't even want to call it Willie Lynch or whatever case. We've been divided and distracted, and now all these kids, all they want to do is turn around and take a picture. Yes, should she see my behind with my fake eyelash and the whole 9 yards? And that's that's their thing now.
Yeah. It's
It's
about the camera, right? It's about
crap.
the
I don't
phone.
for. It's gotten so ignorant, and now the kids now are just there's social media in it where they're going to meet up at a place and they're just going to act the fool, and that was never during the time when we came up.
No,
Never.
you couldn't do that.
Think
No.
about that.
You had consequences,
Yes.
not only from your parents, from your
Yes.
teachers,
Yes.
from your teachers.
Teachers, parents, the
Yes.
police, community.
Community,
Yes.
pastor, all of it.
This is
And I
one of
think,
that.
like I said, those were guardrails for us.
Yes. They go that Jane. Look at her. She's a mess.
Uh
Watch.
huh.
The
Uh
next
huh.
person, like, here she comes. So after a while, you'd be like, oh Lord. So you had to man up or woman up or girl up
Absolutely. And,
because
and we came up with so many amazing people also. I look at the people in Philadelphia. Like, Philadelphia is a very rich city in education and sports and entertainment. I mean, I can name people that know and others know from around the world that came from this city. This
yes,
city is so rich in
yes,
history also.
yes,
I mean, Coleman Domingo. Who knew? Who knew, right? We got Patty. We got the Four Tops. We got the Sound of Philadelphia. We got the, oh my God, Kenny Gamble. I mean, we got the Will Smiths. We
my
can go
mom,
on and on
on and
and
on. My
on.
mom cooked the Delphonics was in my Phyllis Hyman was
Teddy
set up.
Pendergrass, Phyllis
All
Hyman,
all that came to my house, which is the most amazing thing I have.
Questlove. I grew up on the same street.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like, I think about Philadelphia today, and we still have people coming out of here that are unbelievable, dynamic people and love the city and want to give back to the city,
Yep.
at
Yep.
all times. So, I feel very heartfelt coming back home and understanding and knowing where I came from. I went away from here for a while and thought,
Yeah.
I'm never going back there. Little did I know. I would do full
It always takes
circle.
you back because that's your foundation.
Absolutely. That's who I am.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is my identity, period.
Yes.
And that's why I when I get out here and I'm talking about identity, people, they take it from a academic aspect, but I'm talking about it from the heart and who we really are. I didn't get this from theory. This is all world, experience and learned experience and emotional experience that I've gone through that have brought me to this identity strategist person. And like I said, I've had several careers, and I can name several of them that I enjoyed and made, great income from, but still felt distant from that person, or didn't feel like that was who I really, was at the time. And I needed to peel back those layers and find home again. And to
Yep.
me, that's what identity is about. And there are people out there, Gene, executives, doctors, actors, they're going through the same thing. All of those inherited traits that we get from our families, like you said, you didn't want to lean into your daughters and them too much without, you know, and not push them too hard and let them be who they are. That is a beautiful thing, because there are a lot of people that have what I call foreclosed on certain identities and just said, you know what, the hell with it. This is who I am. This is what I do. And then go to their grave regretting that they never ever explored who they really truly were at their heart.
Yep.
And that identity foreclosure is something I would never want to, travel down that road. And then again, when we talk about identity equity, that's what it's costing you. That's my finance head and my real estate head. That's what it's costing you to stay there.
Yep. Yep.
So it's important to, find that quiet place, find that peace, and figure out who you truly are as a person and peel back those layers, because you will only have regret. You will only deal with issues later on in life that you didn't find your flowers. And I feel for people that don't go about doing that.
That's right.
And it's not a good thing. It's something where I think, looking through that lens, we look through rose colored glasses sometimes, and we think we want to chase after fame and fortune, and only to get there to find out that it's not what it's
Oh, no
cracked
doubt.
up to be.
It's really interesting. I mean, if I decided I wanted to just have, I could catch a flight and go up to Massachusetts, sit on the Cape. I'll get me 3 or 4 lobsters. I got my
Sound
book.
good. Ooh.
Yeah. I got the books I want to read. I got my iPad with the music, and I can sit out there and look, and I'm at peace.
Yes.
And that's a lot of people can't say. Now I got all kind of other stresses, but when I want to take that moment, get it, I got it. And I'm like, wow.
You can release them.
Yes, and I feel so blessed to be able to, because a lot of people don't have the economic or the money to be able to just fly and do all these things. Not saying I'm rich, but to be able to have the opportunity to do those things and get that peace, I love that. And it's not.
But you are rich, rich in understanding of who you are. That's the beauty of this. So, Gene.
And I'm still learning. The thing is,
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, you have to. That's what's so important. If you don't learn, how will you move forward?
Yeah.
It's so important to continuously read and learn and unlearn and rethink.
Yep. Yep.
That rethinking and unlearning is the basis of becoming the next.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what's important, to really peel it all the way back, because when you leave here, there's nothing else left. You've done it all. You lived it all. And it was a beautiful journey. And that's what I want to say at the end of this journey, that I did everything I wanted to do and enjoyed every part of it. And I'm so thankful that I came to this point in my life that I found myself again. I found out who I really am inside. And I'm blessed that I did that.
You know what's interesting? A lot of people in West Philadelphia High School that were classmates of yours don't even know your journey or your training.
No, they don't.
And they don't know how much it would enhance to hear it and to respect it, and then to embrace it as you being a sister or a brother to that. Most people will take it and go, or have a jealousy or have some type of other feeling instead of gathering it or embracing it for what it's worth. I have my journey. My foundation is what we grew up in, and if it was any way I can enhance you, I will do.
But so proud of it.
Yes.
So proud of it, Gene.
Yep, I know you are. That's why people don't understand you going back. And we're going to still do that for West Philadelphia High School. And these young kids, they don't even know. West Philadelphia High School kids now that's there do not know nothing about the history. There's no
of the school itself.
The schools, and they really did a beautiful job in the newer school. It's more modern tech, but it's smaller, 10 times smaller.
Wow.
The principal's doing a good job with some stuff, but they don't know the legacy. But they're trying now. They're really open to try. And these kids that get it, they're gonna get a dose of stuff. Wow, that really happened. These
please.
Happened. And that's what you have said that you want to come back and do. That's what we want to do. Go back and do it, to let them get a piece of that. Say, I walked this neighborhood.
I walked this school. My locker was right at the front door. Okay, I loved it.
We had some moments too where the refrigerator was kind of bare a little bit. My parents weren't trying to
absolutely.
So we understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can do this. You can
Yeah,
do this.
you definitely, anybody that wants it bad enough can do it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to have, the guts. That's the one part, the spirituality, as you said, and just the need to want to win. And a lot of people can't find that because they don't know who they are.
But they can't have no excuses. They can't
Well,
allow.
there are no excuses.
They can't. And a lot of these kids now, they embrace that. Well, you didn't have your father. Or well, you didn't live a certain way. Or you didn't touch. No, you can't have no excuse. Okay, so I didn't. Okay, fine. I'm going to go on and use whatever resources in front of me and the people that I have,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to utilize them so that I can move forward, so I can go do what I have to do. That's what I try to preach these kids right now. Hey, okay, Dad wasn't there. That's his loss. That's his loss.
You know what? You said that I asked a question, I believe, and I asked you, what did you have to abandon? And it's really interesting. You answered that question from the start, and your answer was arrogance.
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting, because abandoning arrogance takes someone that has a lot of strength. Was confidence ever confused with arrogance during the time you were playing?
Not with me. I always like sharing everything that was happening with me, and no matter what it was. And like I said, I give God the glory, and my mom and the community. A lot of stuff happened and came to me, and I could have just walked around with my head saying, I'm the shit, I'm the SAT, you
No,
know,
you can say it. I'm the shit.
yeah, I'm the shit, and I was the number one high school player in America. We were dominating Philadelphia sports.
Yes, you were.
We
Yes,
were
you were.
besides the Sixers and the Phillies, no other thing was in the sports every single day, full page, but the West Philadelphia Speed Boys.
That's right.
The Sixers didn't have none of that. It was amazing. Everywhere I went, the whole 9 yards, and I always made sure I shared it with everybody. It was just my nature. Then walking around like, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm bad. And even when I played against other teams, other players, I always hugged them before and after the game because it wasn't about me dominating the show. I'm the best.
Absolutely.
We had a good game, and the one thing I love
And a
about
great team.
we had an awesome
I
team.
remember everybody.
Oh,
Rock,
yeah.
Clarence Tillman. I remember all. I was a couple grades below them, but I was new to the school, junior, but I remember it was like you guys were amazing. It was like you guys were superstars walking around the
People
school.
don't really know how great that team or good that team was.
Yeah, it
And that
was.
team was all about our parent. The parents were involved. The
Hmm.
majorettes, the football team. Everybody was engaged with us.
That's right. You
And
talk about fandemonium.
yeah,
We were there.
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was
People
amazing
don't really,
times.
it's just passed through. But the thing that can't is documented and it's shown. Now you got to bring it back to them. But that was an unbelievable time. You had some
Yes,
of the greatest coaches coming to Philadelphia,
that's right.
West Philadelphia High School or hallways, whether it was about I brought to attention, but it also got other people's attention.
Absolutely. Like I said, I remember the team. I remember you guys walking around. I remember the guys that weren't as, big as life as you. Their attitudes and personality, you would have thought they were superstars. And we looked at them that way.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell us nothing at that time in our lives. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time, and it
One
doesn't
thing,
seem that far away.
I think it's important that Coach Goldenberg and our parents taught us not to be stupid and silly and arrogant. So that helped out. You good. Like these parents now talking about, oh, you better than everybody else on that team.
Yeah,
No, back then it was all about the whole team.
it was.
And
And the school.
yes,
And the school.
school
And
was
that was the beautiful thing. And that's why we had like the Professor Skeefs and the Dr. Deadweiler, and teachers like that. They were amazing
oh
teachers.
my God. I've cried just sitting back having because I have moments where I just chill out and I go into my own, like I can have my own movie, just sitting back remembering some of that stuff. And sometimes
As we get older, Gene, we get very emotional.
I'm learning this. I'm learning this.
Oh God.
The thing about getting older now is so incredible, besides little ailments here and there. You go back and you think about those things, and they were, before you just keep on going and life keep, but you think about how important and how major they were in their life.
Hmm.
Oh, and
Very much so.
it makes life so much worthwhile, you know, that you lived this long and had that experience with a lot of other people didn't have that.
Wow.
It's very powerful. For me now, it's very powerful. That's why I continue on still doing it. I get tired, and sometimes, some of the newer parents, the newer parents now, these young, they have no clue of really how raising their kids, and their kids out here wild and doing stuff, and they're going down there mad,
Hmm.
tear stuff up. When they're behind, the children's behinds need to be torn up because they're representing. They're still in your household.
You're so southern. I love it. The
Yeah,
children's behinds need to be tore up. You're right.
grow up. Because and then you won't go and fight because the cop or somebody put their hands on your job, and now you
That's
want,
right.
when you should have been getting down to school and putting their behind tore their behinds up in front of the classroom to get yourself out, and so you going in, you got kids fighting teachers
Yeah.
and bringing the phones. I mean, it's, and then the system is allowing it due to the fact that this is whatever the plans they have, but it's also the plans that's really destroying everything about the whole concept.
Wow. Now, this has been such an enlightening conversation, all about who you are now, who you were then. I mean, they have meshed together because you're still that person, that believes in, family and spirituality and understanding what peace means. For my final question, I want to ask you this. What would your life look like if it were built for truth instead of validation?
Wow, that's interesting. What my life would be like if it was built for truth and validation. I never felt that I had to be validated. That was one of the things that other
Okay.
people validated me. Um, I would do my job. I always did. My daughter has the same problem. I would help other people do their jobs, and I didn't care whether they said I was part of it or not. So it was all about giving and sharing and being a part of a team, of being a part of a family, what you want to call it. Um, so the validation was always given from other people, giving it to me, and I took it humbly. I was very honored on that. But truth for me, more than anything else, is that's a, that's a hell of a question because the way we were raised to understand what was happening around us, what our parents taught us, what our pastors taught us. Uh, so that to us was the truth, and we continue to carry on with that, what they taught us, and what we brought in within us, and we carried that on. So whether it's spirituality or things in the community, um, and loving about truth more than anything else is just being real, accepting that what is untrue, you should fight against it, but what is true, you should embrace it and try to get
Absolutely.
more of it. You definitely try to get more of it and then expand it. So for me, that it's a really simple, easy thing because we live it. Not all of us, but most of us live it. It's not hard. If you mess up or you do something wrong, tell the truth. If you do,
Live in your truth.
just live
That's
it.
right.
That's something you got to do. If you didn't do it, you got to work harder. The truth is, you didn't work hard enough. Okay, so you got to work.
Okay. And guess what? The truth always comes out, right?
It comes out and always sets you free. So I've been very fortunate to know, like you, and probably many of your viewers are going to be, they've gone through it too, that you've seen it and you know what you have to continue on doing. Some people
Absolutely.
get it, some people don't get it, and you have to execute. Nobody's going to give you nothing. And even if
Nothing.
you go to church, God has rules for you to do some stuff
That's
too.
right. He has rules for everything. Every living, breathing thing that's walking around has rules.
Yes,
And all he asks us to do is to be benevolent. And
yes.
if we can handle that, we could be a great society to one another as human beings,
Amen.
you
Amen.
know.
You hit
And
the nail right on the head.
And that's what's so important when it comes to just understanding who we are as people. And I'm not talking about black, white, blue, green. I'm talking about as people, as human beings on this one
Yes.
small planet.
Yep. And it's
That's
not
it. We're
and it's,
all here together.
and it's not really hard.
It's not hard. It's not hard. It's just a matter of respect and understanding and loving your fellow man. And that's what's important. This has been such a great conversation, Gene.
Oh,
I don't even want to end it. I could talk to you forever, but I could talk to you off camera too. But I could talk to you forever, and I know I will see you soon.
I
But
just
before we go,
I like
go ahead.
people. I like people to see your show. I love what you're doing. That's why I enjoy doing it. I do a couple of, but I shut down from doing them because everybody wants to hear my story and so forth. But I like when we talk about real things,
Yes,
and that when I have this conversation, it comes into me to push me to even do more, to
yes,
maintain my course, to maintain. Because believe me, I'm gonna tell you, Jane, it gets discouraging when you see all the stuff that's happening.
absolutely.
And I know how old people say, I'm too old for that. I ain't got time for that. And
No,
it's
that's what keeps us alive.
yeah. But sometimes it gets so discouraging,
It
and
does.
but
It
but
does.
we still have to continue on while we're here to make a difference.
And a lot of young people, unfortunately, they have been pushed to, this, I got to make it. I got to make this money. I got to, and
Yes,
money doesn't make you happy. It just gives you options, and that's the truth about it. It gives
yep,
you options to
yep,
be able to do things that some others can't do. But guess what? It's fluid, it's energy. It
yes.
has to flow, and it can
Oh,
flow in one
oh,
hand and out the other. You can buy so much, and next thing you know, what you own is owning you.
hello.
And okay, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. We've been taught to perform and to have, and just one person told me the man that wins has the most toys. Well, that's not true, because Alexander the Great, he didn't win. When he died, he said, please let the best doctors in the world carry my coffin, because guess what, they couldn't save me. Have
Exactly.
my hands flung out of the sides of my coffin, because I can't take any damn thing with me.
Nothing.
Nothing with me. And he says, fling my money to the people. The best doctors couldn't save me. I can't take my money with me. I came in this world with nothing. And guess what? I'm leaving with nothing. That's the best saying, quote I had ever heard in my life. So most
Yes.
people, they need to read, and they need to read Meditations by Marcus
And
Aurelius and really understand things.
what you just said was so vital that
Mm.
people need to learn and read stuff like that. That's so
And relearn, rethink, unlearn, and think again.
yeah.
All of that. Nobody could have said it better than like Adam Grant or Brene Brown or I can't think of her name. Oh my God, I would hate that I can't think of her name. But the Prentice Hemphill.
Mm, mm,
These authors, we must read them, because they tell us or share with us who we are
mm,
deep down inside when it comes to identity, because you have to understand that before anything, you must know who you are. And it
yes.
takes a long time to really know who you are. I mean, listen, I'm
Yeah.
going in my sixth decade, and I'm just learning about me. And I'm very happy that I didn't get past it. So, and to be able to talk to wonderful people like you and relate and be open. A lot of people, Gene, can't be open to have these type of conversations, because they're so closed up
Yep.
with what someone may think. That's
I'm
my
so
that's my
forward.
gift. I've never cared about what people
Nope,
thought.
neither have I.
So I've been very blessed in that manner, you
Awesome.
know. And that's what I said. I'm so happy that you and I got the opportunity to have this conversation on Unpack Your Life. And guys, before we go, I want to leave you guys with one question. So, what part of your life are you protecting that no longer belongs to you? This is something you must think about, because your next chapter won't begin with when your circumstances change. It'll begin with your identity. That's what your next chapter will begin with. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to my guest and my longtime friend, Mr. Banks, Gene Banks,
Well,
all-time superstar. From high school to now, I
I love
still look
what
at you
you're
as a
doing. I love
superstar.
everything you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you. Jean, let them know where they can connect to you or connect with you because I'll definitely have links down in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Facebook page. It's Gene Banks in this in common with Tinkerbell, and then Instagram is A Duke Legend. People reach me through that. Um, then I don't can't remember my LinkedIn name,
I love Tinkerbell.
and that's another story in
I
itself.
know it is. I
A
know it
huge
is.
story because nobody down here calls me by Gene, or everyone calls me everywhere.
Tinkerbell.
And
But that doesn't mean we can't have another conversation, Jean.
we can, because that was a big one because no one has never been it never questioned my masculinity. That to me still surprises me that nobody cracked jokes or nothing like never happened even in college.
Because they knew you were ringing the real bell.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
if today's conversation gave you guys the courage to ask yourself a different question, please, please subscribe to Unpack Your Life, leave a review, share this episode with Mr. Banks and myself and someone who's ready to stop serving and start becoming. Stop surviving and start becoming. Please continue to serve because that's an important part of our life. I am Jane Bond, and until next time, don't just unpack your life, guys, rebuild it. Thank you. I'm going to stop this now.